Another look at Fasig-Tipton Sales Pavilion here in Lexington, Kentucky as day number 5, the final day of the yearling portion of the 2022 Lexington sale has arrived. Mark McKelvey, Anthony McDonald in our usual position that we've been all week long. Well, Anthony's been all over the place, but we've been here getting you set for each and every day's coverage or each and every day session at this year's sale. And today, well, it's our final day, and we're gonna not just look ahead to the final day, but also reflect on the week that it has been. A very successful week to this point. Over 20 horses acquired by thestable.ca. But Anthony, before we get things started, we just want to offer our sincere condolences to the family and friends of Dave Brower. Just terrible news that we learned earlier today that he passed away unexpectedly here in Lexington. Was gearing up for what was going to be a great weekend of racing. He would have been providing the coverage on air at the Red Mile. A terrible loss for our industry, and we just, like I said, want to let everyone know that our thoughts and prayers go out.
Yeah, Dave was such a great guy. I mean, I said to you, I just spoke to him yesterday. We talked about us going over the Red Mile and doing an interview, and he was on air with you the other day here. Yeah. Just a super, super nice guy, and just one of those guys where he lived and breathed horse racing. And anybody that ever met him immediately liked him. He was just a great guy, and just such a shock. Just such a shock to wake up to the news that Dave had passed away. Such a nice man, and as I said, just a great ambassador for racing. So absolutely our condolences are with his family for sure.
Of course. As I mentioned, we're to day 5 now of the Lexington Selected Yearling Sale, and as we've done each day, we like to take time to go back and take a look at what happened the day prior. And yesterday, another busy day for you, Anthony, and I don't think we need to waste any time. Let's get right into it and talk about the horses that you were able to acquire yesterday. And we're going to kick things off with hip number 649. And we're at the point now that my book here takes a little while to flip right through it. We're going to go all the way back. But hip number 649, what can we tell us here? I believe you know exactly. You've got it right in front of you, but I've made it there.
Leave you hanging.
I knew you were. I was waiting for you to take it there. $23,000 Ontario eligible, a muscle mass filly here.
Yeah, so I told all our clients, we have, for those of you out there that are following along that are our clients, you know that we have different buckets for different sales. And we do have two Ontario buckets. And I told everybody if we found Ontario horses that made sense for us, they would in fact go into those buckets, and that's in fact exactly what we did. Now, we have a great relationship with Schaefer Standardbreds. They raise great horses. They do a great job. They take our turnouts from Ohio and Pennsylvania area out to their farm for the winter. Jacob and Wayne just do a tremendous job out there. And this filly, I love, when you look at her page, it looks great. Now, the third dam looks great. Second dam has a couple of horses in it that were exported to Europe. The first dam is very young. Now, unfortunately, Enterprise has not had the year they hoped he would, so I'm more inclined just to take a Eco Boost and pitch that horse.
Right.
You know, the second foal, but really, let's say the first foal. Muscle Mass is a very accomplished stallion, and they're meat and potato horses right up until world champions like Six Pack. So when I look at this pedigree, I see a bit of an odd second dam, kind of weak. Third dam is super, super tough, like Sir Perseverance and Forever Starlet. Forever Starlet was a world champion and horse of the year in 2003. Sir Perseverance was a great racehorse also. You can see in the video there, she is toting a little bit, which, by the way, for some horses is a muscle mass trait.
Right.
I'm not very concerned about it. And the reason I wasn't, if you go back and watch her video, she trots really clean, really straight across the paddock, which is as good an indicator as you're going to have before you start jogging and training them, how they're going to look. And easy in the turns. Again, April 17th foal, second, but for all intents and purposes, first foal from a Cantab Hall mare. I just thought that 23,000, Mark, when you factor that, you do the London sale also.
Yep.
Now, I want to set something clear. Somebody come up to me today and said, Anthony, did you say something about not buying horses in Ontario, or you weren't going to the London Selector? That is not at all what I said, and what I meant was you can find value in Ontario breds everywhere, and you should look everywhere. And if I can find more value in Lexington, I'm going to take full advantage of that, and I believe you will. I think all the horses that I watch go through the ring in London a lot of people that are in Ontario maybe don't come down to Lexington, don't come down to Harrisburg, and the London Select sale is their big sale of the year. So what happens is, it's human nature. I think some of those horses end up being what I would consider as oversold. Great for the breeders.
Yep.
And if it works out for the people buying them, fantastic. But when I'm doing my job and trying to evaluate what those horses are worth, I did find more value in Easy in the Turns than I would even in Easy in the Turns was sold at the London Select sale. And that's just the way it shakes down. It's not me saying anything negative about Ontario. It's great that we have such a strong sale, but my job is to find weaknesses, not strengths, when it comes to buying these horses. So Easy in the Turns, I just thought at $23,000 was a perfect fit for what we were trying to do here at least in 2022.
I'd be stunned if you weren't going to be attending a sale.
No, I'm going to be
Come
there.
on.
I'm going to be there. There's no shot that I'm not going to be there.
Exactly.
And it just, when I look at this horse, and obviously you can't do that, but when I look at this horse and try and figure out what this horse would go for London, it simply is more than what this horse went for yesterday. So that, again, that is what I was trying to get at. If I didn't come off that way.
Exactly.
Somebody come up and said, oh, you had said something derogatory towards Ontario. I'm like, no, I didn't. And then I assume that's what they were talking about. It's just me saying, I believe some of the horses in Ontario at the Select sale might be overpriced. I think historically speaking, as I said, history lies on my side with this. But again, I'm just trying to find value anywhere I can.
Absolutely. Let's move on now to 653 Lover's Play, a tactical landing filly, New Jersey and Kentucky eligible. Just over $20,000 this one cost, and we see from her dam, Flirting Filly, she had a good mark of 54-3, taken as a 2-year-old. So you have to like that. Some good speed. Already has a winner as well. That took the Stallion Series final in Pennsylvania. So what did you make of 653? Another tactical landing as you stay on that bandwagon.
I don't want people to think that we went all week and I was just buying horses for a lot less. Like I was overpricing them on my, if you look, I actually priced that horse a tiny bit lower. And I ended up getting into a bit of a bidding match with somebody. We were going back in the thousands. Both of us were pretty well reaching our boiling point, whoever the other person was. And I did stretch a little bit for this filly. Now, we didn't need another tactical landing, as Gary pointed out many, many times on our broadcast. Just now? So, Gary...
I appreciate the content that Gary has provided us
Gary's
this week.
He's been the peanut gallery. It's fantastic. I love it. We need to have talented-looking horses. And again, you pointed it out, Flirting Filly, 54-3 as a 2-year-old, as a 2-year-old, 2-year-old mark of 54-3. Broadway Hall, strong filly. The second dam, his stage show, who was a world champion, $500,000 made. Another Broadway Hall, so a full sister to Flirting Filly is the mother of this tactical landing filly here. So again, I don't want to fall into any traps, but again, you're looking at dual eligible New Jersey and Kentucky. A nice May 25th filly, and this filly was rather, I would say, the larger side is of medium, even though she was a May 25th filly. So I know Gary would have been pleased that we picked up yet another tactical landing. But you know what? I like the tactical landings, and if they're going to offer us value at any sale, this or any other sale, then that's what we're going to do. We can all fall in love with a page and fall in love with a horse, or not like a stallion, but there really has been no reason given that I can see that we would not be interested in tactical landings. Son of Muscle Hill, world champion himself, great horse, and has thrown some very, very good horses for us also that we see racing it too. So we joke with Gary. I understand what Gary's talking about, but tactical landings, huge check mark, at least for us right now, and we'll continue to pursue them if they're going to continue to be valuable or available.
As yesterday went along, next horse that we're going to talk about, 720. Is this one that kind of came together a deal out, or did you purchase this one?
No, this was, again, Schaefer Farms.
Yep.
Jacob had come to me, and really you can never tell. I find it so hard to price a pacer, let alone a middle-of-the-road pacer, much like that trotting filly. I thought, I don't know if we've ever had an Always Be Mickey, have we, Amy? I'm not sure.
That's what I was going to ask you.
I don't think I ever have.
You have had one.
I did have one?
Yeah.
Amy's thinking. Somebody will tell us.
I'll think of it.
I'd make it a trivia question, but she's already got a head start on everybody. Paycheck Princess, a good-looking filly. I had looked at her, and I saw her in the back ring. You can never tell with pedigrees like this. Is the horse good? Is the horse okay? When we're all going to find out? We're all going to find out together next June or July when she races. I can't find any faults with the filly. She was correct. Good size, decent family. We'll see. $500,000 the mother had made. Now it's Jate Lobel, so I guess we're getting a little older.
Yep.
Going back to the retirement home with Jate Lobel, but at the same token, $500,000 made. A good horse, a good horse.
All right, so then we move on now to 739 Winter Bells, another Ontario bred here. This is a shadow play, a filly here. Again, I go through lots of winners that this mare has thrown, and now you add Winter Bells. Was this one that you had on your radar yesterday, or another one of those that you were just kind of looking for value as the day went along?
You know what? As the week went on, we were very, very lucky to have a lot of our clients that were here helping us look at horses, and actually, Danny O'Brien, one of our trainers, a great, great guy, been a real asset to us and myself for a very long time. Danny had said, I know, he said, just go look at this shadow play. She's a nice filly. She's put together well, and I did, and he was right. She is put together well. And, you know, my family lives in Ontario. We have a commitment to Ontario. We have a commitment to racing. And anytime we can bolster our troops, so to speak, at an affordable price, and when we go back and talk about that, the statement I made, or what I did or didn't say about Ontario, another horse, shadow play at a very strong family. I don't think you're going to find this horse for very much, for very, very much cheaper than we did find it yesterday. So a shadow play filly, April 21st. Again, you're right. Lots of speed, and I don't know if you remember this horse here, Play the Bell.
I do, for sure. Battle of the Bells winner.
That's right, Casey's horse that won the elimination in the final of the Battle of the Bells. Very, very good family. And then, you know, I always see this horse down here. I don't remember him, Naked City, when he made 310,000, 24 wins. Looks just like a hard knocking type horse. I see his name pop up at a lot of these in the win back pedigrees. Hey, listen, quality horse, well put together, shadow play out of a good mare with a very, very strong family underneath her. It really wasn't that difficult. It just felt like that was a good fit for what we were trying to do. It certainly wasn't on my list. It wasn't a horse I was pursuing. But again, you have to be ready. And I thought at that price, this was our horse.
There's an awful lot on these pages, and I'm sure for some of your new clients, when they get the sale catalog or they start going through, it can seem overwhelming. There's one thing they've added in recent years, and I'd just like to pick your brain on this. Beaten time.
Beaten time. I think, you know what, I think it's a bit of a confusing piece of information. Is it something that looks good? I can tell you what I don't like, and what they do frequently is that you'll look at a mare and there'll be a couple of okay horses showing on the top dam, but you have to look really close in the fine print, and it'll say from 6 foals, and it'll show 2 of them.
Right.
You know what? I understand what they're doing, but I believe for me it's almost borderline being a tiny bit deceptive. When you don't show the other 4 horses, and then you come out with beaten time, you know, before time, beaten time. I mean, I get it. I'm glad to know how fast the horse paced. I guess you can use that. But is it necessary? I think it's a wonderful piece of information for the breeder, but is somebody buying horses?
Never won a race, but geez,
went fast, just never got there. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think I'm more a little discouraged with the lack of showing all the horses on the front end.
That's a good point.
That's the one thing that I don't like. The other stuff, not really the end of the world, but I wish they would show them all.
All right, there's one more horse we have to talk about from yesterday, and that was hip number 758. 3rd and 6, a 6-pack. Once again, 6-pack, like I said yesterday, at a sale topper on day 3. And I've heard a lot of people talking about the 6-packs, and here you get a colt from the Conway Hall mare, Third Reef.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't need any New Jersey Colts or Pennsylvania Colts when I got to the sale last night, and Amy reminded me thoroughly throughout the night that was not needed. This guy came in the back ring. And for those of you that know me real well, you know that I like the ones that are a little spunky, right? This guy came in the back ring and absolutely destroyed the place. Flipping out, spinning around. He was just a renegade. And then, and sometimes when you get in that back walking ring for the first time, they'll do that. But then when you go into the back ring part, they're a little more subdued.
Right.
Not this guy. This guy took it right to the next level inside too, flipping out and bouncing around. And, you know, my wife's looking at me and she goes, all right, you're going to buy this horse? I said, I'm going to try. I love this horse. And he was a complete loon. Not crazy, just feeling good. And, you know, I just loved everything about him. And the more I looked at his page, you know, I love the way you see these branches off. And not a lot of people knew this. And it took somebody showing me this also. You see Cena here in the second dam. Well, that branches off. You have beautiful Cena over here and Robertson over here, Higgs Boson, beautiful. So the way that the family jumps off, and then you have 2 sides of that page that are still strong. I mean, factor that with a big, white, beautiful blaze. I wish I could have done a video for you guys today, but I think it's important to note, too, that we had all our horses tattooed, or freeze branded. All of them were freeze branded. We had Mike on the other day explaining that to them. I made a commitment to our clients that all our horses would be freeze branded, and they will be. And what Mike did, got up early this morning with Jacob Schaefer, freeze branded the ones that were left, and then Jacob left with a load of babies. Well, 2 of the babies on the truck we hadn't done a video on yet. So it's wonderful that Mike and Jacob can get up early in the morning. Anthony on the 5th day of Lexington, not so much. So I didn't get to bring you a video of 3rd and 6, but he's got this unbelievably beautiful white blaze on his head, 3 white socks, and he loves life. He's just a beautiful horse. Of all, you know, I have to ask myself, is it because he was the last one that I bought? But looking at all the horses we purchased, which ones I really liked, you know, this guy, I just love when horses are full of themselves, and this guy, just something about him, I really, really liked him. So 3rd and 6, again, a 6-pack colt, not what we needed yesterday, but I thought on the way, maybe I'll stop for a 6-pack.
Makes sense. And you know what? You're talking about those videos that have been put together. This being the last day, we want to give a big shout out to our cameraman, Cam. Cam the cameraman. He has done a fantastic job. All those shots you've seen as he gets right in there, working with you as you're inspecting the yearlings. Fantastic work by Cam. He's on a plane heading home, but big shout out to him for all his help. Yeah, no,
Cam was cool all week. You know, Curtis had his family down here, and it was so exciting. I don't know how they liked it, but I know that I wish my kids could have come in. I wish now I had brought them. But, you know, Cam, every morning up in the car, over to the barn, looking at the horses with us, and just been a real cool dude. I didn't know him before this week. I know he wasn't big on shaving, and he loves his leftovers, but he was he was a cool dude to be around, and super meticulous, a lot like Curtis, super meticulous about his work, and you're right, a real good guy to have around.
Pro's pro, no doubt about that.
That's right.
And like you said, whoever gets his hotel room after him, I hope they didn't empty the fridge, because it's stocked for about a week.
I told Garrett he could stay. I said, hey, he's gone home. If you need a room for tonight, you can stay in his room. I said, I have no idea what's in there. That's up to you. The room's yours if you want it. So, Garrett, there's probably some veal parmesan in the fridge, maybe some steak from 2 days ago. Yeah, bit of a meat hoarder, old Cam.
All right. Well, we're going to take a time out right now. When we come back, we're going to have a lot of special guests here this evening, and we're also going to take a look at some of the yearlings that'll be passing through the ring here tonight. So stick around. More coverage coming your way from the Lexington Selected Yearling Sale.
Reach the people you have to reach by advertising in Harness Racing Update, the sport's most comprehensive and timely news source. HRU provides the best bang for your advertising dollars because we reach and engage your potential customers anywhere in the world. Not only has HRU grown its subscriber base by nearly 30% in just 3 years, but our open and click rates far exceed industry averages, which tells us that readers are engaged with the digital publication and how they receive it. Plus, your ad support helps us keep HRU free to subscribers. Find out more today by visiting harnessracingupdate.com and clicking on the advertising link at the top of the page. Own a little and love it a lot. Thestable.ca is an award-winning fractional ownership operation. Buy as little as 1% of a racehorse and experience 100% of the thrill. Thestable.ca makes ownership easy, accessible, and affordable. Communication and customer service are at the heart of everything we do. Get started at thestable.ca.
Well, Amy bugged me and bugged me and bugged me to pull this horse out and look at it. This is Stonebridge Cosmic. That's a joke. This is Stonebridge Dolce's brother. Now, if you guys remember Stonebridge Dolce, she had minimal talent and a horrible attitude. She was really, really frustrating animal. There was days where you'd go with her and you'd be like, there might be something there. But most days there wasn't. Stonebridge Cosmic is her brother. Now, important, different gender. And this guy's actually put together better. He looks a little toed out there, actually. Can you walk him down for me? Stonebridge Cosmic is, no, he's okay. He's okay. Maybe a hair turned out a little bit on his front end, but that's all right. His video looked good too, this horse. This is a better looking horse. Look, he's already happier than Stonebridge Dolce was. And that's important. You know, we joke about it, but, you know, some of the times if the horse has got an edge on them or they're having a bad day, that's fine. But when they're cranky most of the time, geez, it makes your job really tough. And Dolce, not without her issues also, so maybe that played a big role, but she just wasn't a real big trier. and her attitude reflected how she was on the track most days. But this horse, Stonebridge Cosmic, happy. She's already happier than she ever was. So I'm hoping that if we do get this horse at a value, a muscle mass colt, man, he is put together really well. My hope is that he's not like his sister, quite frankly, that he is happier and does his work. This guy seems really happy out here walking around, and for horses that have been here all week and been pulled out all week and drug around all week, not often you pull them out on day 5 and they're bouncing around like this guy and happy. So I'm interested, I'm happy. I like what I see in Stonebridge Cosmic. There's no denying the pedigree underneath. It's just that we had the sister. It just is what it is. Every horse, every person's an individual, and although Stonebridge Dolce wasn't a great horse, that is certainly not to say that her brother Stonebridge Cosmic can't be. Number 794, a muscle mass colt. And by the way, she was a Cantab, if my memory serves me. A muscle mass colt selling here on day 5 here at Springhaven. You know, it was funny, I looked at this horse before the sale in the catalog and I said, there's just no money on the page. Like lots of little drinks here and there, but no real money. I don't know any of these horses, except for the third dam. You have Admiral's Express. You guys remember this line? We had a filly a couple of years ago, So Surreal, So Admirable was her name. Now, it's not nearly the same filly. It connects in the third dam, and there's a lot between her and this horse. You know, it was funny. I had 2 guys, so a couple of pedigree guys, a couple of guys that are, they know their stuff. They've done their homework and they look at horses full time. He come up to me, he says, hey, I got a number for you for 2 reasons. 1, it's a beautiful roan horse. He said, 2, it's a beautiful horse. Now, I'm gonna stop you. He said, just listen to what I'm saying. There is nothing on the page, nothing that you're gonna find interesting. He said, but this is a very, very good looking horse. So I guess this starts the argument again. How important is the individual itself? To me, very important. I would like to see something on the page that would give me some sort of an argument to make, but it's not here. Not on Sierra Express. This is a down by the seaside roan colt. Roan colt, Ohio eligible. Selling at a Springhaven early on day number 3. And I'd love to tell you there was just something hidden here, but unless I hit this update pad and something blows up, which it did not, just a horse. Just a really good looking horse. So maybe we will have to buy number 812 and just test out the theory of there's got to be one in the family. If you show me a really good looking horse, there's a chance that it might be a decent horse. Yeah, could be. Well, this would be that exception because number 12 is, you know, our client was right. He is a very, very good looking horse, but that's about it. You have to dig real deep to find any meat on the bone of this guy. But at the end of the day, you know what? Very good looking horse, and I'm interested because I suspect with all the very mediocre horses on this page, they couldn't possibly have looked as good as this guy. So number 812 Sierra Express selling here on day 5. Pretty. Day 5 here in Lexington. The bank horses, I'll tell you what, they're all, looked at 3 and all 3 of them look different. You know, sometimes you see these stallions that stamp their horses. They all look the same. The muscle masses, you could pick them out on videos. For the most part, they all look the same. But the banks, I've seen 3 and 3 very different body types. This one's actually got a big white spot on his side too. You know, but truthfully, of the 3 of them, I might like this guy the best. I haven't seen their videos yet, so I've just looked at the horses. Nice wide chest, pretty straight up front. Yeah, pretty straight up front. This is a filly. This is a filly, a May 2nd. Pretty big too for a May 2nd filly. What's going on, Trev? For a May 2nd filly, this is Seasons of Love. This first foal from a Broadway Hall mare, out of a sister to Jammin' Jack, who was an Angus Hall that made $323,000. Third dam is Pizza Dolce. You guys seen this line underneath in all the sale catalogs all over North America. Pizza Dolce, Miss Paris, Bella Dolce. So you have a lot of heavy breeding on the third line, on the third dam. Second dam, Jammin' Jack. Pretty hard to knock him. I can't say I can place this horse. I know the name, but I don't know from where. $323,000 made, and a mark of 54-1, timed in 52, 24 wins. So there's more than enough pedigree here to like this filly. I like how she's built. She's built very, very well, proportionally speaking. She's not tall and lanky or streamlined or too heavy. She's perfect. Just right, like the 3 little bears. Seasons of Love. This is actually a filly I really like. Can't wait to see this filly go through the ring today, day 5 here in Lexington. So I looked at this guy the first time I saw him, like, I don't think this guy's for us. And I looked down and I had a bunch of stars and circles on my catalog, and I didn't know why. Well, I'll tell you what, this summer when we were trying to buy that top pacer, there was a very short list of pacers that were on that list, maybe 4, maybe 5. This is around the Stonebridge Helios time when we were trying to buy that top horse. This guy's brother was on that list. Captain Cowboy was in the mix all summer. Meadowlands Pace. I don't know if he raced in the North American Cup, but he definitely raced the Meadowlands Pace. He won the Liberty Bell. Been a very, very good horse. Well, this is his sister. This is a half-weight now, down by the seaside. Captain Treacherous. I think that makes him a 3/4 sister, doesn't it? Or definitely a more than 50. This is Captain Cowboy's sister. Now you might say, gee, she's kind of small. Well, he was small. Not a big horse. Not a big horse at all. And in the second dam is Mr. Big. This horse is nestled away real quiet at the end of the sale. 8:35. I guess not the end of the sale, but day 5 for sure. This is a very, very interesting horse right here. This is number 835. I have so many circles I can't even read her name. Heartstrings. Heartstrings selling tonight. Let's do a little more looking. Yeah, it's a filly, and it's a May 20th filly out of a Western Hanover mare. 6 winners out of 7 foals. Chalk player was one of them. I didn't know that. Mr. Big and World Away is in here. This is a very, very good family. Now, are people going to look at her and say, hey, that's Captain Cowboy's sister? Or are people going to look at her and say, hey, that's a small horse? I'm going to tell you what, 835 is a horse I just became extremely interested in tonight in Lexington, day number 5.
Oh no, M&M's.
We bought some nice Ohio-bred horses this year in the Ohio Select sale. I'm going to tell you what, this guy would have fit in very, very nicely. This is number 840, Cash and Checks. He is an Uncle Peter. An Uncle Peter, which makes him a full brother to Uncle Peter's Love and a full brother to Mystical Peter. Both nice horses. You know, there's really no faults here. Can you walk him down for me? There's no faults here. I mean, you know what I love about Uncle Peter is that so many people just don't like him. There's a lot of people in Ohio who don't like the Uncle Peters, and I am absolutely not one of them. Uncle Peter's done us a lot of good at the stable, and this is one good-looking colt. He is a February the 11th, I believe, February 11th foal. February 11th foal out of a Muscles Yankee mare. That mare is 4 for 5 on the top end. Lots of speed, too, and lots, as I said, there's some 2-year-old speed in there. Pretty hard to fault this guy. Man, this is a good-looking colt. I would love to come home with this guy. Number 840, Cash and Checks out of Kentuckiana. Selling today in, obviously, Kentucky. Look at the head on this thing, Steve.
Another great look at the Fazek Tipton Sales Pavilion here in Lexington, Kentucky. Night number 5 of the Lexington Selected Yearling Sale is coming up in just over an hour's time. Earlier today, Jamie McDonald, she was getting her steps in yesterday. Much more of the same today. She was on location at the Red Mile and she caught up with several guests. Let's go to the first of those interviews right now.
Welcome back today. Or hang on, I don't want to start again.
Oh, no.
Okay, ready? Welcome back. We now have Tammy McNiven sitting here with us on our nice little bench. It's actually a good spot here at the Red Mile to take in the races and, of course, chat. Tammy is one of the owners of Twin Brook Farms up in Ontario. And tell us just about breeding mares to sires and how long your family, because we're now into the 4th generation of your family business.
That's correct, Jamie. We're 4th generation. All of our horses are called Twin B prefix. So we have Twin B Archie, Twin B Fresh. Oh, no, what's it? Twin B Joe Fresh. Sorry. And anything you see with Twin B, they came from our farm. We have 40 mares, which turns into 40 babies a year, which turns into 40 yearlings. So at any one time, sometimes we can have over 100 horses on the farm. Now, sales are coming up for us in November in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where we're going to sell a bunch. So we're going to be down in numbers. But come the end of January, we're going to start to have babies again and another 38 babies. So by June, our numbers are going to be up again with a lot of sleepless nights. Because it's just like having your own baby. You have to deliver them. You have to make sure they eat right and they nurse and they poop and the whole healthy thing. And every year we have stallions by different stallions in every jurisdiction: Ontario, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. We like to diversify and give something for everybody. And there's always something to come to our farm and find.
And when you're looking at those jurisdictional sires for those different places and different, I guess, deeper pockets, less deeper pockets. We all know there's a vast variety at these sales, day one versus however long the sale is and where they're being sold. But when you're looking at those sires to breed to, is there something you choose to or something you kind of go back to, whether you've had success with them, or how risky is it to do a first-time sire?
Well, that's a really good point, because we find that we usually make the most money at sales with our first time stallion, so we call it first crop, as well as a first foal out of a mare. Those usually give you the most return on your investment, and I think it's because it's the unknown. There's nothing saying that it's not a good one. Everybody believes, like we do, it's the next champion, so they really try to prove that stallion and that foal. When we do try to mate the mare with the stallion, we look in the family to see what crosses have worked in that family. And if there's something in that pedigree that made a lot of money, was really fast, we'll try to find that kind of bloodline to mate with our mare. Or if that mare has a sister that's produced something spectacular, we will breed the same way. We just purchased Father Patrick's sister to Crazy Wow, and the sister just sold a $275,000 credit winner here this week in Lexington, and we booked her a month ago to Chapter 7. So that just kind of gives us an idea that what we could be looking for down the way.
Very exciting kind of for that future prospects in your barn. Now, when you're looking at those pedigrees and, sister, brother, half-sister, how far back, what about relations? Can that get confusing trying to breed and who you're looking at?
Well, it really can, because our gene pool obviously is getting smaller. There's a lot of really good beach somewhere. We call it the beach line. Some beach somewhere goes down to Captain Treacherous, and there's a lot of his sons starting now, and a lot of the brood mares are by Captain Treacherous. So it is getting more and more difficult, but there's still enough variety out there that you don't have to be so close breeding. The trotters are a little more difficult because there's a lot of muscle hill in a lot of horses, so they're a little more finicky to breed than on the pacing end.
And if you're looking at a broodmare, say, to purchase for breeding, end of her racing career, she's retiring, what are you looking at on the broodmare side?
So when we look for broodmare, it's so different than looking at a yearling. We don't look at legs. We don't look at if they stand or walk correctly. We're looking for a nice long body, deep body. We look at their breeding conformation. We lift tails and we look because if there's a little bit of a tip to a pelvis, that could result in some problems. Not necessarily, but it could. So if the mare is a good looking mare, and you can see how they fill out because they'll put on 300 or 400 pounds after they're done racing. You can see that in a young horse, and as long as the pedigree's there, you'll be okay. You don't have to have a horse that has a mark and money to be a good broodmare.
And at what point, when you've done the breeding and you have a great broodmare, she's throwing good horses, decent horses, you've seen success with this sire. At what point do you think we'll continue with sire A, or do we go to sire B for the following year? Is there a tipping point that way, or is it just what kind of falls into your lap with different relationships with people?
That's a tough question because we're trying to predict what people are going to want 3 years down the road at sale time. So what's in vogue today is not in vogue in 3 years. So it's a really difficult process. We try to just say, will this give us a nice looking one, or we had this one last year, so let's go back this year. So there's really no formula. It's just kind of a last minute decision. We'll say, okay, oh, I saw that stallion. We saw Jim Pansy this morning. It's like, okay, I'm booking a mare to him next year because he's gorgeous, which happened this morning. But mostly we try to only go to once or twice to a stallion and then change it up just in case something doesn't work right.
And on the breeding side, sometimes when, sires are breeding to mares, it doesn't catch the first time. Like, there's such a vast variety of early and late foals. How many attempts kind of do you get in a season?
It's very tricky because our breeding season opens February 15th, so that means we can't get semen before February 15th, and it ends usually July the 1st. The reason for that is mares are pregnant 11 months. So by the time you breed, let's say you're breeding February 15th, you could have a January 15th foal, technically, which is quite early. And if your mare comes in early, you're before January 1st, which technically it would be a yearling. So we try to breed as close to February 15th as we can, just to get the early foals, because then you get the size on the other end when they start to age. For our personal farm, we are done breeding by about mid-May. Because by the time, if you have a mare that's due mid-May and she goes overdue, you're into June and you have no more chances to breed the mare because they're closing the breeding shed. So what we do is we shut the mare down and we'll catch her on the next year, early February, to breed her.
Very interesting points. I think I've learned a lot here. I honestly didn't know a lot of this stuff because it's not, everyone's aspect of the industry. And there's such a wide variety of people that come to Lexington, not even here, but just in general in our industry to keep it going. So it's very interesting to listen and learn. But off topic about breeding now, what do you do enjoy the week here at Lexington?
Lexington is probably the most beautiful city we go to. It is the mecca of horse racing. You drive and drive and drive and drive and see these beautiful farms and board fences and horses, and it's just so relaxing and peaceful and laid back. And we've been coming here probably close to 25 years as a holiday during sale time. We don't want to sell horses here because we don't want to be stressed, and we love the racing aspect. And then in the summer, we'll go to PEI and enjoy the racing in PEI, the two most beautiful places to have horse racing ever. If somebody puts that on their bucket list, they will not be sorry.
Well, thank you for joining us here at the Red Mile on thestable.ca. And enjoy your time here at Lexington, and good luck with your sales in Harrisburg.
Thank you so much, Jamie.
Reach the people you have to reach. by advertising in Harness Racing Update, the sport's most comprehensive and timely news source. HRU provides the best bang for your advertising dollars because we reach and engage your potential customers anywhere in the world. Not only has HRU grown its subscriber base by nearly 30% in just 3 years, but our open and click rates far exceed industry averages, which tells us that readers are engaged with the digital publication and how they receive it. Plus, your ad support helps us keep HRU free to subscribers. Find out more today by visiting harnessracingupdate.com and clicking on the advertising link at the top of the page.
So I'll tell you what, I want to give you guys just tell you what we're talking about. We talk about horses being towed out. Now, this is 841. When I saw this horse's video, I gave this horse very high marks. Pre-sale, very high marks. The video, it did look like the creatine, like this creatine colt might get to his knees, but you know what? Lots of them do. Purple Aura does. The other ones I've driven, they get to the knees once in a while. It's not the end of the world. It's whether they can go with it, whether you can get them off it, and if they do, how hard they hit it. Obviously, if they're hitting their knees hard, it's a real problem. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what we talk about when you say towed out. So this lady right here is very, very good at her job. She can square the horses up very, very good. Can you back him up one step? We'll see how good you really are. Wow, she's good. So you see how the toes are pointed out a little bit. I guess on this guy you would say it's what, 11 and 1? Not horrible. Not horrible, but you see how they're toed out a little bit? So the trajectory of that foot when it leaves the ground and flips inward, just by math alone, the horse is going to come at his knees a little bit. That trajectory coming off the ground would draw that horse into his knees. Now, some trotters and pacers, it won't matter. And you can see that in the videos sometimes. Some horses, especially trotters, you can get them, well, mostly trotters, you can get them over their knees, because the problem when they come off the ground like that is there's that big knee, that big knob of the knee waiting for that foot there. Welcoming, it's very welcoming. So what you don't want to see is, you don't want to see them towed out quite a bit. Now you see how this guy, he is towed out, but when I watch his video, yes, he's close, and yes, he might get to his knees, but man, he's got a really, really nice gait otherwise. This is the type of horse where him being towed out may not bother me that much. You know, he's got a good family. This entire family has been throughout the catalog once or twice or 3 times throughout the sale. If you look back, and you can always see these lines show up all throughout all the sale catalogs. I like his head, I like his eye. And the creatines, you know what? People give them some people give them a hard time, you know? I don't. We've had one, Purple Aura, and yes, she hasn't had the best year. She's had her moments, she's made her breaks, she's done well in other races, but she's been a good filly overall for us, a very good filly, and still the track record holder at Dayton Raceway. So yes, creatine power is towed out. Yes, he may get to his knees, but no, that's not going to scare me away from him. If we get him for the right price, he is going to be coming home with us to race in 2023. Number 841, Creatine Power. Can you walk him down one more time? Creatine Power selling today in Lexington. Who? Oh, really? Oh, yeah? This is a nice looking horse. Hey, this is a nice looking horse. Thank you. So I was a little torn on this one. You know, it's not that I just got done telling Sanina at Spring Haven. It's not that I don't like Indiana. I actually do like Indiana. It's just that I can never be there, right? It's great for our Indiana clients, which isn't that many, but we just haven't been able to get it in there. I love doing business with Ross. We had a great year with him. We didn't have like a banner year with him, but we had a good year with him, and I like doing business with the guy, but we can just never get out to Indiana, so I'm always torn. But I'll tell you one thing, if there was one horse that was going to lure me out of the weeds a little bit earlier or out of my comfort zone with Indiana, it would be Mounds for All. This is Tactical Mounds, his brother by Swan for All. I saw his video. It's great. Horse looks really, really nice, and I have a lot of respect for Tactical Mounds. This filly is destined, I think, to be a pretty decent filly. I'm not talking world champion or anything like that, but just a really nice quality animal. She's done her work very well. Remember, she got injured at the start of her training last year, caught up to everybody, trained so well through the spring. And once she finally got that hard work into her, after about, 2-3 schoolers, couple of qualifiers, and then a race or two at Georgian, she really took off and raced great at the Meadowlands her last two. She's in to go next week. This is her brother, and actually, quite frankly, he has put together really, really well. Number 854, Mounds for All. This is a May 30th colt, too, and he looks this good. A May 30th colt, brother to our girl, Mounds for All, or Tactical Mounds. And as I said, the reason I bought her last year is the same reason I like this guy. A lot going on in this family. I really, really like number 854, Mounds for All. Well, we're here at Winback. It's day 5, so a lot of Ontario stuff, a lot of little Ohio stuff also, but a little bit of a mixed bag here. More of a regional sale the last day of Lexington. Well, here's an Ontario bred, a really, really good one. Now, first crops, the bank, first crop in Ontario. I don't really know what to tell you, to be honest. Donato Hanover horse, market 50-4, was a good horse himself. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know about the bank, but that's a good-looking yearling right there. Stock Options is his name. He's the bank out of a revenue mare. Now, 4 foals out of this mare. For those of you who know much about horse racing, 4 foals out of this mare. First one, CR Commando, that made $64,000. The second one, a Mutineer, that made $40,000. The third one was a Conway Hall. She wasn't super productive at 2, 2, and 3, and $9,000 made. And a Glide Master made $18,000. Now, I don't want to be presumptuous, but I would think and hope that the bank would be a step up, although we don't have any information to support that. The other 3 sires didn't really pan out. Well, Conway Hall certainly did, but the other sires, Glide Master, CR Commando, and Mutineer really didn't pan out that well. So I would say a bit of an improvement in breeding, and man, what a giant of an animal this is. A big, big boy, February 1st foal. His name's Stock Options. Selling here today, day 5 at Lexington. Now, I think the Ontario horses might go a little stupid. They do every single year here. If you pick your spots, you'll be all right. But I don't know if this is a pick your spot type of horse. Pretty big, pretty good looking colt by the bank. Can you walk him down for me? Can you walk him down? Oh, the Conway Hall is a 2-year-old? Yeah. Okay, so that's fair. That's fair.
Got to win $9,000 number 2.
Yep. My goodness. You're not going to be able to pick this horse up very cheap, though. Good looking boy.
It almost makes you want to look at it.
We are going to. I'm way ahead of you. Thank you very much. Ready? So we're going to do a number of videos here looking at the bank as a sire. I haven't really dove into the bank, to be honest. I know the name. I know he's a nice horse. I know he's a Donato Hanover. I know he's a first crop sire in Ontario. That's about it. That's what I know about as much as you do. This is number 891, not quite as gigantic as the first one we looked at. A little more narrow, a little more lanky. Month to see. He's April 9th. And I think, to be honest, a little more straight up and down, especially up front, than the other colt. I don't really know what to think of them or how to take them. I know everybody in Ontario is here, that I know anyway, is here looking at horses. So, which only makes the purchases of our 2 horses yesterday all that more shocking. So I really don't know what to take. I can tell you this much. Day 5, super ceilings, super hard lines on these horses. And if we can find some good deals headed back to Ontario, then absolutely fantastic. There'd be nothing more I would love to do than fill up our Ontario buckets before the seals to sale even comes, the London sale. And if we head down there and buy one, great. If we don't, that's fine too. But if we find what we're looking for here in Lexington, I won't hesitate to purchase it. Heaven's Count, number 891. This is an Ontario-eligible Bay Colt, April 5th. Bank, the bank, out of a Muscles Yankee mare. Now, the second dam is the dam of New Jersey Viking. Pretty decent horse, and now a sire in Illinois. So, 891, as I said, a little more streamlined than the big giant we saw earlier on, but a real good-looking horse nonetheless. I like them, I guess. They look nice. It's a little too early to have any knocks against them, but they all look pretty nice. Here, buddy. Good boy. Can you walk him down for me, sir? Number 891, Heaven's Count, selling here on day number 5 in Lexington. He's moved nice, this horse. He's put together pretty well, actually, too. Oh. Interesting.
One of the busiest spots in the area, Fasig-Tipton, has been the home to the Lexington Selected Yearling Sale. We reached night number 5. We've had gorgeous weather all week long. Starting to get a little nippy here on this Friday evening, but hey, we made it to almost to the end with perfect weather. Not going to complain one bit. Mark McKelvey, Anthony McDonald with you once again. We've been taking a look at some of the yearlings that'll be going through the ring tonight. But we're going to shift our focus away from this sale for a moment, because while the eyes of the harness racing world have primarily been on Lexington this week, there's still other business at hand, and you've been busy.
Oh yeah, I have. We have lots of eyes. So today there was a horse that was for sale on Gate. We purchased him. He's a 3-year-old Ohio-bred trotting colt. Now, unique situation, as our clients know, we've been selling some horses over the last month or so. Felt like they had reached their potential. Thought that they had saturated their earnings potential in the classes they're in. Very similar situation, but we're willing to take a risk on a horse like this. This is a 3-year-old trotting colt that has been racing in the fairs in Ohio all along. Now, I'll tell you how good he's been. Not that often you have a horse with more than 30 lifetime starts, and half of them spent in the winner's circle. 34 starts, 17 wins, 90,000 made, a mark of 57-1 at Northfield Park. He did make a break in his last start at Coshocton Fair. Now, I feel for Rosie Weaverhead, this horse. I feel for Rosie because we raced 5 horses that day, and 4 of them made breaks also at the Coshocton Fair. So, the horse's name is A Handsome Face. He will likely be one of the favorites in the fair final next week at Northfield Park. That purse is $40,000. And the beauty about this guy, I may have just referenced that he won 17 races. Only 2 of them count as pari-mutuel races. The fairs in Ohio, Pennsylvania, most of the jurisdictions outside of Ontario, those fair wins do not count at all. So although he shows 17 wins on his card, only 2 of them are actually pari-mutuel races. So A Handsome Face, a lot of people, our clients don't miss anything. We're watching the sale, they miss nothing. I've had people emailing me for the last hour. We just bought him 2 hours ago, and they said, when will the shares be available for A Handsome Face? I'm going to make it simple. Before this broadcast ends, or right when it ends, right at 7 o'clock, we will make those shares available for everybody that wants to be a part of A Handsome Face. I don't know what his future outside of the next 2 months or 3 months at this stable holds. That will be up to him. But I thought for right here and now, especially what's coming up next week, it made a lot of sense to maybe purchase this guy. So nice horse. And a little fun fact about him, for those of you who remember, we were one of the underbidders. I can't say that I was the underbidder, but we were one of the underbidders on this guy as a yearling at the yearling sale. He was a very, very good-looking horse.
I have a couple questions about him while we're on this subject. 34 starts for a 3-year-old. Is that concerning at all?
No, that's a good point. So a lot of these horses in Ohio, they race a lot in the fairs. Now, if you look down this guy's got a mark of 57, can trot in 57, yet you'll see 210, he won by 8.5 lengths, 2, 3, and 4, 2, 4, 2, 1, 2, 7. When I see horses winning by open lengths easily like this, but still have that racetrack experience, the fairs are not, you didn't grow up seeing fairs. And in Ohio, as you drive down any of the major highways, all those towns that you pass on the highway have a fair. And as you can imagine, they're not the most kept racetracks. And there's no Bulldog Hanover's not going to be setting any world records at the Coshocton Fair. And, but people love coming out to the races and watching the races. And I like going to them too. I know I joke with my wife, she doesn't like going to the fairs. And I grew up in a small town, and I love going. I love the fair mentality. It's just that small town horse racing,
pure.
Heartland, pure, love of horse type feeling. And I enjoy going to them, and there's just a ton of them in Ohio. So yes, that's a good point. He does have 34 starts, but when you spend half of them in the winner's circle, hey, when you love your work, it's almost like you're not working.
That's a really good point.
And that's the same for a horse like him, yeah.
And any reason why the previous connections, were choosing to sell right now? Do you think maybe looking to cash in, especially ahead of that final?
Exactly, yeah. We'd end up paying $28,000, and I don't know who the underbidder was, but I can assure you they weren't very happy with me. I had the last bid on him, and for those of you who have ever bid on horse on gate, you know that most of the action takes place the last 2 minutes. So with 1:30 left, we were the leading bidders at $18,200, and then whoever was the underbidder, we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And at that point, it was just a matter of, and I already knew how high I was going to go, but at that point, it was just a matter of, what was the horse worth to you? I am assuming whoever the mystery person was, very similar mindset of mine, was at $40,000 next week. A number of races, a number of viable paths moving forward in Northfield. And along the way, if you decide, maybe this horse isn't going to graduate to that 55, 56 speed, at that point, it doesn't really matter.
All right, well, we were talking about Ohio, and that's going to be a big focus here tonight for night number 5. Expecting a lot of people from the Buckeye State to be coming into town for tonight's final session. They are here, and like we said, it's a bulk of tonight's session focuses on Ohio. You know the program very well by now. What are you expecting here tonight? Because talking to a few people, they seem to think that we're going to see another surge in the sale, even though, typically in the past, traditionally, it would drop towards the end.
People see day 5 is quite a change, from everybody around here. And I mean, even, valet tonight, I saw somebody pull up in a Ford Mustang and have it parked. And then somebody literally in a Mustang with a horse and carriage right after him had it parked. So it's quite a different feel tonight on day number 5. But make no mistake, they didn't forget their wallets.
No.
If you think for a second there's going to be fireworks tonight, you think again. What I'd said about the London Select sale, it isn't subjected to London.
Right.
The Ohio Select sale is much similar. A lot of money spent there. The only difference is you're not going to find the same value in the Ontario breds from day 4 and day 5 as you will the Ohio breds here. Unfortunately, Ohio is only about 2 hours down the road, 2.5 hours. So it's not the drive it is from Ontario to here. I don't know that last year my wife and I stayed for the last day, and by the end of the night you're like, what am I doing here? Because the prices are just astronomical. Don't kid yourself. It might be a different crowd, but there's definitely going to be high prices again tonight.
If we look at some of the stallions there in Ohio, do you want to key on any of them? I know we're going to see the Bank, Fear the Dragon, Down by the Seaside. Any of them that you're really curious to get a look at?
Well, so we'll be looking at both Ontario and Ohio tonight, mostly. The Bank, first crop, Ontario.
Yeah.
And then you'll see Down by the Seasides again. They've dominated. He's a dominant sire in Ohio. So there are a number of Down by the Seasides we're looking at. I'm just looking at a quick short list that I had. There's some more muscle masses on the list for us tonight. Some Uncle Peters. There's a couple of creatines. They're all quality sires and all sires that we love. Now, again, for the people that are intimate with the stable, that we went to the stable, we went to the sale in Ohio, we got everything we wanted, and we still came in under budget by $31,000. So not that I'm going there looking to write a check for $31,000, but we do have $31,000 to play with tonight for the Ohio bucket. So we will be in play. We will probably get our hand up. Whether we get a horse or not, I don't know, but we do have some horses we're looking at. Same as Ontario. Now that I've cracked open those Ontario buckets heading back to Canada, there are a number of Ontario breds also tonight, and hopefully we can find the same value we found yesterday here tonight. It's unlikely, but it's very possible.
All right, well, we continue on with tonight's coverage, and Jamie McDonald, as we mentioned, was out and about at the Red Mile, and she has another special guest.
Welcome back to the Red Mile, and here I found some auctioneer's assistants. We've got Roger, Richard, and Roger, and they're going to tell us about how they got started in this industry, what it's like to be, spotting those bets and looking for the people who are bidding, when they're in, when they're out. Let's start over here. Roger, how did you get started as an auctioneer's assistant?
My father was an auctioneer and an auctioneer's assistant, and the first time I ever worked a standardbred sale was at Libertyville Racetrack in Philadelphia, PA back in 1976. So I've been doing it a long time and enjoy every bit of it.
Now, Richard, how do you find with someone you're looking at them in the sales pavilion in the back ring or, up on the stage stand, when they're in, when they're out? Because not a lot of people throw their hand in the air really high.
Well, it's just characteristic of a buyer. You can tell that they've inspected the horse and they're trying to, they start getting ready to go, and they make a few movements and stuff like that. And then you kind of keep your eye on them at that point. And some like to get in the beginning of the bidding sequence, and others like to wait to the last. And that's where the time in the saddle that you have with these, and you have a good rapport with these people, and they always kind of come back to your section because they know that you've taken care of them and so forth. And that's, so you just their movement and their body language that we kind of know that they're going to bid.
Now, we know you guys don't just do standardbred horses. What else do you do for auctioneer assistant jobs, and what is it like, the difference between, say, houses, cars, and horses?
You mentioned houses, cars, and horses. Do that as well as purebred cattle. And the auction process is basically the same regardless of what you're selling. The numbers might be different, either higher or lower, but the process is the same. People are the same, everybody comes for a bargain and usually ends up paying more than they wanted to. But it's a lot of fun.
Typical for that auction process, right? How long have you been coming to Lexington?
Oh, I got to say close to probably 20, 25 years, and I've been in the business since I was 14 years old, so it's been a long, I won't disclose my age, but it's been a long time. But yeah, 25, 30 years coming into Lexington, and it's a great place to come to, and a great bunch of people that we deal with. And for me, it's like we go back home to, I live on the West Coast, and he lives in Pennsylvania, he lives in Illinois, and it's like seeing a second family. Is it when come sale season in the fall when we do this, and it's like being, coming home to seeing old friends and family. So it's kind of like a second family to me.
Do you all travel and do the same sales together, or you see each other often throughout sale season?
Some of these guys I travel with all year. Some of them I only see once a year here at this sale. But we in the business, everyone knows everyone as far as the auctioneers and the ringmen go. Everyone pretty much knows everyone. So it is like Richard said. It's like old homecoming when we all get back together.
Like a fraternity, he says.
Yeah, like a fraternity. Yeah, exactly.
And what's your favorite part of Lexington? Coming to the Red Mile, it's a beautiful track here. Keeneland's not too far from right where we are. Just what's your favorite part other than the work aspect of it?
Usually we're here the first work week in October, and the weather is usually ideal. It's a beautiful part of the country and a great place to visit.
Thank you so much for joining us here at thestable.ca and kind of that inside look of what your job entails.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Own a little and love it a lot. Thestable.ca is an award-winning fractional ownership operation. Buy as little as 1% of a racehorse and experience 100% of the thrill. Thestable.ca makes ownership easy, accessible, and affordable. Communication and customer service are at the heart of everything we do. Get started at thestable.ca.
Night number 5 coming up here from the Lexington Selected Yearling Sale. The thestable.ca pre-game coverage continues. Mark McKelvey and Anthony McDonald with you. Anthony, as we get closer to the start of tonight's session, less horses than we've seen the last few days, so it's a smaller group, still over, I think, around 130 or so.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll drag them out a little bit here now that, you know, there's new money coming to the sale, or are they going to be pushing these ones through?
What do you think?
I know the answer.
It's going to be a marathon tonight, and
Yeah.
it's getting a little colder, so, you know, buckle up. We're going to have to get their hand warmers and toques out, I think, tonight. It's going to be a little chilly tonight. You know, listen, it's day 5 at Lexington. Like I said, the atmosphere that we feel is because we've been going hard for 5 days, and day 1 at Lexington is not like day 5 at Lexington. No. I told you yesterday, it's almost like the carnival's packing up. They're still letting you go on the Ferris wheel. It's different feel, but it's still a sale.
Yep.
You know, make no mistake. These are Ohio breds, some Illinois breds, Ontario. There's a little bit of everything for everybody here, and you know, as I said, it's a new crowd, but there's still that sale excitement. Once the sale gets started, it'll still be cool, and I'm looking forward to it. We've had a long, busy week. We've been working with a lot of breeders, with a lot of clients, and just really, really happy with the outcome. It's always nice, you know, when a breeder reaches out to you, right, or a new client reaches out to you and says, hey, I literally. The thing that I love the most about this is that we've had return clients. We had clients that we had 3 or 4 years ago, and a gentleman that we hadn't done any business with in a couple of years, just because, no big deal, no reason at all, walked up and said, hey, would you train this horse for us, and handed me a ticket of a horse. And that's gratifying, right? It's humbling, it's gratifying. I use those words a lot when I talk about the stable and our clients because, listen, we have so many people that are in business with us, so many people that love horse racing and want to be a part of it and chose us to do that. And it certainly is a great feeling.
The approach that you took this year with how you went day by day, I know you'd come in one day to look at the horses for the next day, so forth and so on. You did it day 1 to day 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. Was that always the same kind of approach, the way you've done things, or have you done things a little differently this year?
You know, the way that we had the buckets set up, this year, where I knew I had a total that I could work with, and it gave me the confidence to not worry about the financial side. That sounds silly, but for those you trainers out there, you understand what I'm talking about. You come to the sale, you end up making a short list of 10 horses that you want to look at, and then you talk to your clients, you know, your owners, whether that be 1, 10, or 15 people, and say, hey, these are the horses I'm looking at tonight. You know, do you have any interest? Well, it's a different approach for us. It's almost reverse for us.
Okay.
We look at every single horse. I price every single horse, and this year, you know, again, the trust that our clients have in us, they didn't know who we were putting in what bucket. And I guess that's because now they have a certain understanding that it doesn't matter what I say or you say or anybody says, whether it's pedigree, speed, or whatnot. All that matters is what happens next summer. And if I don't know which ones are going to be really, really good, or I don't know which ones are going to be okay, then I guess it's just really best guess. You're asking me to look at 900 horses and tell you which ones I think are going to be ones that might turn out. And it's still a big responsibility.
Yeah.
That's somebody's money, regardless if they're very wealthy or they work a 9-to-5 job. That's their money. And when I tell people I treat their money like it's mine, I do. And it is a responsibility. And I'm a pretty easygoing guy, and I joke around about a lot of stuff. But when it comes to this aspect of the stable, there's no jokes.
All right, well, I know your phone was already going off, so maybe you got another new client. We'll take a little time for you to get back to whoever that was.
I thought it was yours.
No, it was yours. I thought it was mine too. So we'll let you answer that because we've got another package spotlight of some of the yearlings that'll be selling here tonight in Lexington.
This is hip number 895, Bank of Stars. This is the 4th bank. They got 4 of them here at Winback. I thought I'd look at all 4 of them. This guy, again, a little bit different than all the other ones. Nice size to him. He's pretty straight up front, I suppose. This is a April 30th colt out of a CR Commando mare. Lights come on, was out of that mare. I think he was a decent horse, but I see he only made $150,000. Top to bottom, another one of these pedigrees. And I don't want to be derogatory and say day 5 pedigrees, but it's another one of these pedigrees where the horses are all right. I don't know half of them, but they seem to have made money and took 2-year-old marks and have decent speed. So no real complaints from the pedigree. I'll be honest, I think I like the filly we looked at earlier than this colt. But he's a decent looking colt. I keep looking at his front feet. He's got a lot of heel on up front, which makes it really hard to discern if if they're actually as correct as I think they are. I would say of the 4 banks we looked at, this would be my 4th favorite. But nevertheless, he's here. He's a horse to look at. And again, with those hard lines and low ceilings of day 5 for us, we'll be keeping an eye on this guy for sure. Number 895, Bank of Stars. I don't like him. So number 900, another down by the seaside Ohio bred. This guy's singular jurisdiction, just Ohio, from Springhaven Farm. Now he's out of an Art Major mare. Now it's always nice to hit that little update tab on the side of the tablet. I remember this horse's brother now, Wonderful Beach. That's a great way. Wonderful Beach has now taken a mark of 53 and 4 and a 5/8, has 2 wins, a winner of the Buckeye Stallion Series at Delaware County Fairgrounds on Jug Week. Looked good. The second dam, I drove Hale the Taxi, I think, is out of that one. Yeah, he was a bit of a pouty bugger, but second dam is Taxi Hanover. She's a Western Hanover herself. Hale the Taxi, he did make $300 and some thousand. Again, another family where you have lots of speed, lots of money, lots of 2-year-old marks, but obviously a little interested also in the fact that the 2-year-old Beach Tree took a mark of 53 and 4 and won a Buckeye at Delaware, and this is the down by the seaside brother. Now that definitely is an upgrade. So let me see what else is out of this family. An American Ideal, Marissa's Ideal. This is the first colt. That's also very interesting. First colt out of the family. So another little thing to look at. I'm interested in this colt. When they first pulled him out, I said, he's a bit tall, he's a bit lanky. You know, he's a May 6th foal. I'll have a look at him. But after I looked a little deeper, saw the brother, the Beach Tree sister that took a mark at 53, won a Buckeye in Delaware. Looked a little closer at the family. This horse does just fine. Number 900, right on. Number 900, Seawind Serpent, selling today, day 5 in Lexington. Can you walk him down again for me, sir, one more time? He's a big bugger. Big long pasterns on him. Oh, there, fella. God, he's got long legs. And he's that's a tall baby right there. Good boy. That's great, thank you. 8. Now, we do have one spot left on the bus for Ohio, right? We left Ohio a little short, which is shocking, but a little short. And that doesn't mean we're going to buy a horse in Ohio bred today, but it does mean we're going to look. So I love this horse's video and love the horse's pedigree. This is the first time I'm seeing him in person. This is Ohio, Kentucky eligible. This is a pacer. This is down by the seaside. First colt from an Art Escape mare, which is second foal. Second foal from an Art Escape mare. That's a little odd. Any updates? No updates on the first one. So the first one hasn't surfaced yet. American Rosa. I assume that's a filly. It is. So this is the first colt from the Art Escape mare. Now, she is a sister to In the Arsenal, Exquisite Art. Wow, there's a lot of nice horses in this family. Number 907, Seaside Escape. Seaside Escape. It's a good-looking colt. He does match his video. I loved his video. I really liked his pedigree, and I was waiting to come see him. Little splint left front. Not a big deal. Just going to have another look here. Little splint, right front. You can see that little splint on him. But I normally tell you guys that's from conformation, but I don't see any conformational issues that would cause that. He's not toed in. He's not toed out. He's not offset or crooked in his knee. Pretty straight from his shoulder to his foot. So he's got a splint right front. This is number 907, Seaside Escape. Another horse we like here. See how this guy sells tonight. Day 5 in Lexington.
Welcome to the Red Mile. We're here with Frank Baldacchino, and we're going to take a look at the grounds here at the racetrack before we head over to the sales pavilion. Before we get into, the sales and what's going on this evening and the racetrack here, Frank, tell us about how you got started in the horse racing industry.
I got started in the business with my uncle back in the mid-'70s. The Meadowlands racetrack was just opening up, and my dad used to put me in the car and said, hey, let's go over to watch my brother race at the Meadowlands when it first opened. And it was just, there was 30,000 people there, 40,000 people there. The place was electric. And it just kind of, from sophomore year on, it's just kind of said, something that just got into my blood, and that's, I've loved the sport ever since.
Having that family connection is something we're all about at thestable.ca, as we all are intertwined with each other somehow. How did you and your family kind of get into breeding horses and having sires?
That's kind of just been buying a lot of horses through the years with our group, Mark and Ronnie and Larry and Phil and, a couple other guys. We constantly looking for young horses, at the sale at Lexington or at the Harrisburg sale or to buy privately. And we just bought a colt as a 2-year-old named All Bets Off. And he turned into a really nice 2-year-old, a great 3-year-old, a great age performer. He made over $3 million in his career. And when we retired him, Sealster had a big interest up in Ontario to stand him as stud to be like an heir apparent to Bettor's Delight. So we were thrilled that they had a big interest in him. It's been a good fit since day one, and his first crop of racing age hit the track this year.
Now, last year when they were going through the sale, first crop, people looking at them, buying them, is there any nerves? It's kind of like your grandkid being, shown out there and seeing how they're doing.
Yeah, it was exciting come sale time last year. We ended up buying a few at public auction, and we had some homebreds also that we really liked. And it was exciting to see them go through the sales ring, and people that I stayed in touch with over the course of the sale season and then into the breaking season all seemed to really like the way they were coming along, and so we kept an eye on how they came along, and that's how I ended up buying a piece with Bob McIntosh.
And there is one of the offspring in the sale tonight. Have you looked at that one at all?
I know Ronnie has, and Larry and Phil looked at it, and we're going to look at him again tonight, I believe. So we'll look at it, and maybe if it goes for the right number, maybe we'll have a big interest in him. I know there's some in London at the sale coming up that we have a big interest in, so we'll see. We'll definitely probably get a few more this year.
Coming up to the sale in London this year?
I won't be there, but there'll be eyes on the horses that'll be able to report back and see where we go.
But you were up in Ontario not too long ago, just last weekend with a couple of your horses. Tell us about Moment Is Here. He's kind of had a big week.
Yeah, he's been a real surprise. I came across him just from my connection with Bob McIntosh, and I'd stay in touch with Bob over the course of the breaking season. He said he had a real nice colt if I wanted to take a piece of him. He was available, and I really liked the pedigree, and when he sent me some pictures, I liked the way he looked. He reminded me of his dad, so Bob let me buy into the colt, which I appreciated. And he's been a great colt as a 2-year-old. He's probably him and another filly are like leading Ontario sired 2-year-olds. So it's awesome.
And he does have that super final coming up, so good luck there. Will we see you up in Ontario for that one?
I don't think I'll be up next week. I was up for the Metro final, which he didn't get involved in the race, which was a little disappointing, but he came right back at Flamborough and won the gold the other night and set a track record. So he's setting up good for the Ontario final for next Saturday night. So just keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully he races well.
Congratulations on that track record, and good luck next week.
Thank you so much.
As the industry's leading sales agency, Preferred Equine recently introduced its exciting new online sales portal, Preferred Equine Online. Developed by our experienced sales team, the powerful new platform with cutting-edge technology makes buying and selling easy from the comfort of your home or office over any device. Our experienced sales team offers full customer service for buyers and sellers as it relates to the collection, distribution, and transfer of the horses offered. Sellers can enter a horse as easy as 123 with a searchable database while allowing comments, photos, and other documents. Buyers can view live pedigrees, past performances, and race videos. To create your account or learn more, visit www.preferredequine.com or call 914-773-7777.
Own a little and love it a lot. Thestable.ca is an award-winning fractional ownership operation. Buy as little as 1% of a racehorse and experience 100% of the thrill. Thestable.ca makes ownership easy, accessible, and affordable. Communication and customer service are at the heart of everything we do. Get started at thestable.ca.
I found Bob Bonney here on track at the Red Mile, and we're going to talk about kind of his life and history in harness racing. It's been a long and windy one, and can you tell us how you got started in the industry with your family?
Basically, when I was a kid, I grew up in Queens, New York, and in that era, everybody knew about Roosevelt Raceway. They either owned horses or had a neighbor did. My father bought a piece of a couple of cheap racehorses, and I had always, for some reason, had a fascination about horses as a little boy. And once they got the horses, that was it. I really got interested and involved, and spent time at Roosevelt. And then from Roosevelt, I decided one summer I wanted to see what a farm was like, and I went upstate New York, and for $85 a week, I got to clean all the stalls I wanted to clean, and they hired me off the street, and I stayed there 11 years.
Wow, it's amazing how when you find a good spot to work, it can be like family, and you just grow into, an adult, a young person in this industry, and it continues within your life.
Yeah, I was there 11 years, and I just felt that after 11 years, it was time to go into business for myself, which I did. That was in 1980. My first company was called International Standard Bred, and then I've had a few since then, but Northwood Bloodstock I've had now since, I want to say, around 1990, somewhere thereabouts. And that's what I stay doing. That's what keeps me busy.
And just your day-to-day or week-to-week with your company, kind of walk us through what that looks like around, wintertime or summertime. What's busy, what's, more slow?
There's not a lot of downtime anymore. It's really, you're going, like right now, I'm going to be consumed the next little bit. Even tonight, I'm going back early, driving back to Jersey tomorrow. I usually stay an extra day, but Harrisburg mixed sale, got a lot of stuff to finish to get that done. So you're on that. And basically, as soon as you get done with Harrisburg, you've got the January mixed sale at the Meadowlands. And right from there, you go into getting yearling entries. So there's really not in the public auction area, there's not a lot of downtime. There's always something coming up. And then there's private sales, and so you're basically as busy as you want to be.
Yeah.
So it keeps you going.
It sounds fantastic, because if you do, want to come or a day off, you can take that time if you can. Of course, there's always work happening, but you have a fantastic crew around you at home to take care of those things.
Yeah, there are people that do stuff, but it's still a lot of hands-on stuff. I think in this business, I think that's one of the features I like to stress is that it's me. That's who's doing it, and I stay with it that way. So it keeps you pretty much busy. Again, it's how much do you want to do, and there's always something to do.
And there's always something to do in the horse racing industry, whatever that aspect may be. But you've been very fortunate to be connected to a few big names in the industry. There's always be Mickey. There's Camptastic, Annihilator. Tell us about some of those top horses, the rides that you've been on with them.
I can't think of much bigger thrill than owning horses like that. Annihilator in particular, he was part of a partnership. We purchased him. I went out and I found him. I looked for him, looked for a certain type of horse, and we bought 7 Niatros colts first crop, and he in his 2 years of racing, he had 6 starts down here. and there's no better place to win races than here. This is my favorite racetrack, and he won 6 starts, 6 wins. So it was very, very, very exciting. Mickey won down here. Camtastic. It's funny. Camtastic was also undefeated here, and as a matter of fact, all 3 of them were. They never lost a race here. Which Mickey won. Let's see. Mickey raced here 3 times. He won 3 times. Camtastic raced back when they raced heats.
Okay.
He raced double heats at 2, and then raced 2 heats twice at 3. So that's 6. So between them, let's see, that's I never tallied this before. That's 12, 13. That's 15 starts. 15 starts. They've won them all. That's good.
That is pretty good. That's pretty good.
I never did that before. Yeah.
Very interesting fact, to find out on the spot here.
That's good. Yeah, that is.
Now, when you're looking at horses, and how has your eye changed, or has it from back in the day if you're looking at a horse?
I think there are some things you look at, but it's still basically it's a correct horse you want. I don't think they've changed that much. I think horses could always go fast. I think they go faster now because I think there are more of them that can go fast. So you don't have that 1 horse, 2 horses that stand out quite the same way. There are a lot more horses that can get you beat, that may not win. And I think one of the biggest things that I think has changed, we've got the best group of drivers we've ever had, because they're all talented. They can all make horses go fast. They're all very gifted, and it wasn't always that way. In a different era, you had a few guys that you knew were a little better than the others. Now, there's 8, 10, 12 guys that can win any race, and so I think that's changed the dimension of racing.
Not just in the U.S., but in Canada too. And when they come together for those big stake races, like this weekend, or up in Ontario or wherever, east or west, it's kind of a battle of the drivers as where they're getting spots. The horses, they're all just as good.
Yeah, very, very, very true. It's again, they're more athletic now. The drivers, you see them when they weigh nothing, and that wasn't always the case. And you combine that with the skill to get horses to go, the horses are going to go for them. And there's a lot of guys like that now, which I think really has changed. I don't want to always say that the horses are better. I think there are more of them that can go fast, and we use them differently now. They're not afraid to use them in a more aggressive fashion, and they keep these horses alive. Previous years, when I first started doing this, I look back on some of the guys that drove, and they were 6'1", 6'2", weighed 220. There's no 220 is 2 guys now. That we put them together, and that's a big difference. I think especially when you combine it with the ability that they have to get horses to perform.
Speaking of drivers from different places, but horses come from different places too. We've seen horses come from Europe or Australia, come to the U.S. or Canada to compete along with drivers as well. Do you find there's different racing tactics seeing the drivers come from different countries?
I think they adjust pretty quick. Racing here is, I'd say, it's pretty relatively aggressive, and the guys that have come here, be it the McCarthys or Dexter, they didn't have any problem adjusting. The other guys are adjusting to them now. But they learned. It's just like the horses. The better horses will figure out how to race, and the better drivers are going to figure out how to race. It's not going to take them very long.
And is there anything, when you're looking at the yearlings that are selling this week over at the sale, anything specific that you like to check on them, or like to just look? Is there something that stands out right away to you, or do you have to kind of go over them?
There's certain basics, but I think the one thing that I don't think you have to be a little more conscious of, when I first started doing this, I think you could be more acceptable of a smaller horse. Not that a smaller horse can't succeed now, but it's tough. It's like any athletic endeavor. Size makes a difference. And not that a small guy can't do well in a sport and so forth, but everything has to be perfect. A little bigger horse, I would say, is something that I've gravitated to now more than when I first started. Yeah, you've got to have something. You can't have a little bitty guy.
There's a little bit more grace given to those bigger horses, as there's more room for them when they go.
They don't have to. Their margin of error is not as slim as a little horse. And the way they race now, I went and looked at Bulldog this morning, and he's like a perfect size horse. He's strong, he's solid, he's got excellent depth, which is, and he's long, which is what I anticipated, because Jack, I've watched him for years. He buys good-looking horses. And that's I think that's kind of the norm now. You're not getting away with a little guy. Very tough. It can happen, but it's not so easy.
Well, thank you for joining us here at thestable.ca, and enjoy your time here in Lexington.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Another aerial shot of Fasig-Tipton here in Lexington, Kentucky. Night number 5. The Lexington Selected Yearling Sale is coming up at the top of the clock, or top of the hour, I should say. Mark McKelvey on the desk with a special guest. Scott Zeron is joining us. And Scott, thanks so much for taking some time to just swing on by here on the final day of the Yearling Sale. You're getting back to action tomorrow. But I have to ask, I know it's tough to be on the sidelines watching, but what's it been like coming down to Lexington and for the most part, not having to really work?
Yeah, no work. Lexington's my favorite time of the year, but mostly it's because it feels like a downtime.
Right.
Because we're always in airplanes and driving all across the country during Sire Stakes season, and then once that dies off, it just gets into Kentucky, and you stay right there for a full 12 days. And this is my favorite time of the year, usually driving all 12 days, but we'll be back in the bike tomorrow and Sunday.
Yeah, how are you feeling? Let's get an update on the recovery. A terrible spill that you were involved in, but you're getting back to action, like you said, tomorrow and Sunday. Is this a little quicker than you originally thought you'd be back?
Yeah, I didn't plan on driving this weekend. Actually, we just moved hotels because I didn't even have one for the weekend. But I just wanted to see how it was. The daily progress is significant right now because it's been long enough since the surgery on my wrist. So I had a screw put in the wrist, I fractured my pelvis, and then I dislocated the shoulder. So, the shoulder is what it is. It's coming back to full mobility. But as far as driving, that range of motion is perfectly fine. So it was just waiting on the wrist, which was the least of my worries when I got in the accident. Obviously, the hip was so immobilizing, I couldn't do anything. And it was really tough laying down with no movement. So that healed up perfect, actually. So, maybe I'll feel it when I'm 80, but right now I'm pretty good.
Well, you're going to get back to work. It's great to see. You've been involved in a few spills in your career. How did this time off compare to some of the past rehabs?
Ironically, I've never had one day off. I've been down probably like 12 times. Okay. I obviously just gotten lucky on the tuck and roll because this one didn't. It was like straight hard hit ground. But this is my only downtime I've ever had, aside from taking winters off to go to Florida and just take off the whole racing season. But it's been good. I'm a homebody, so it's not the worst thing in the world getting stuck at home. But not knowing if you're ever going to come back to 100%, that's a little worrisome throughout the process. But so far, we're almost 90, I'd say.
Well, it's great to see, and as we are wrapping up another great Grand Circuit and sale time here in Lexington, I've been asking everybody kind of about their favorite Lexington memories. For some, it was their first trip here, their first win. Do you have a special moment here in Lexington that stands out the most to you?
Yeah, I mean, campaigning Mary Marauder was a lot of fun, but this was the Triple Crown race. Like, there's only 3 you got to win, and he won the Hambo, the Yonkers Trot, narrowly, both of them, and then it became a 12-horse field, one dash for the cash, and we had the 11 hole with a Tactor 1, Tactor 2, Tactor 12, and just thought it was absolutely not even plausible that I could get it done. And we just ended up with a great trip. I was third over right off the bat, got away situated as close as I could, and the flow worked out with Southwind Frank first up, bar hopping second over, and I was third over. Still the odds against me following those 2 great horses, but he overcame, won that one by a nose, and winning the Triple Crown was pretty important.
No, he was gutsy. There's no doubt about that. A real champion. Is he at the Kentucky Horse Park? Is that right?
He is. I'm actually going to see him for the first time in a long time tomorrow.
I was going to ask. I thought that was the case, and it's great that he gets to represent our industry, the standardbreds, over at the Kentucky Horse Park at that legendary facility. Talk a bit about how your year was going prior to the accident. I know it's always a little tough when you come back after being off to pick up momentum, and hopefully you can pick up momentum right away. But how was the season going until the spill?
I think it was going to be my best season, only because the 2-year-olds I had were coming along so well. And it's still early in that process, so it was just, they're all really fast at that point. They're really good, and mine just kind of stood out in almost every category, So I was super excited about the 2-year-olds. I didn't have a lot of 3-year-olds that I was that excited about, but at the same time, I could have picked up along the way and guys with doubles and stuff like that. So when I did go down, it was the worst time. I mean, I'll always be a little leery right before August 1st because August and September are very important months.
No kidding. And how tough was that to see some of those horses and go on to have success? I know you're happy for the connections, but it's got to be a little bittersweet, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I love money, and watching how much money they made was tough to swallow. But no, it was cool to see because I'm part of the development process of those horses. So along the way, you feel like you played a role in those horses getting the winner's circle, which is fun. But at the time, it was honestly, I was just trying to get back to 100%, thinking if I can, I'll be already happy about that. So that was my only mindset. Watching the races actually got a little boring at a few points, but it was we're back, and actually I picked up a lot of the ones that I left off with.
Well, during this time off, we have seen you make a couple of appearances. Hambletonian Day, you jumped on the simulcast there at the Meadowlands. You were helping out today, pinch hitting, doing some interviews. We'll get to that in a second, but what do you think of this side of the equation? What do you think of the TV? Is this the post-racing career setting itself up, or just something that sort of naturally happened here?
Yeah, I mean, if they could guarantee me, like, I don't know, $250,000 a year, I'll do it. I'll stop driving, actually. But no, it's a different process. Since I've come along throughout my whole career of racing horses, it's always an interview after the race, and you learn how to do that and do it well. As far as holding a conversation, if you just throw the ball up in the air, I'll dunk it. That's just what I'm used to. But today was a different side of it. I was asking the questions, which is extremely difficult to do, at least for me, because just generating those questions and trying to not use the same ones race to race to race, that was my main thing. I mean, as a driver, I'm always thinking, is there a track bias? Is the wind helping, hurting? But after you use that on the first guy, you can't really use that again the rest of the
You got your answer, yeah.
So, being creative and thinking about new questions, it's not my specialty, but I like this format.
That opportunity just to have a conversation. And, I look at all these other sports out there, and they've got ex-athletes or coaches. They're the analysts. In our game, a lot of times the analysts are the handicappers, but I think fans really do appreciate the chance to just talk about the guys that are right there in the trenches with the horses.
Yeah, I'd like to think most gamblers have their own concept of their pick fours. They don't need to hear my pick four, but if they do, I'm sure that those would be available. But I don't think of it as the gambling side, so maybe that's what I offer when they always are selling, that part of it. I kind of want to break down the first quarter of the race. So on Hambo Day, it's what I did. I see this guy leaving this guy. This is where it should be. This one might be too far back. And just maybe give that. I don't know if it's a different voice or a perspective, but people seem to like it.
Yeah, I think they do for sure. My last question for you before we let you go is, what are the immediate plans here now that you're going to get back to racing? Do you kind of have a schedule mapped out of what tracks you're going to be hitting and what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping obviously the weekend goes really well. Whether win or lose doesn't really matter as long as I feel comfortable out there and the motion and just going back on the racetrack kind of thing. And obviously the strength's going to take a little bit to get back to full strength just from the muscles atrophying, but hopefully muscle memory comes back quick. And I plan on getting a soft open. It's 2 races tomorrow, 6 on Saturday, on Sunday, and hopefully it goes well, but there'll be a lot of days off in between.
All right. Well, Scott, thanks so much for taking some time. Great to see you back in the bike tomorrow. Best of luck.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. We're going to take another timeout. We come back. We're going to wrap things up from Fasig-Tipton here on Night 5 of the Lexington Selected Yearling Sale.
As the industry's leading sales agency, Preferred Equine recently introduced its exciting new online sales portal, Preferred Equine Online. Developed by our experienced sales team, the powerful new platform with cutting-edge technology makes buying and selling easy from the comfort of your home or office over any device. Our experienced sales team offers full customer service for buyers and sellers as it relates to the collection, distribution, and transfer of the horses offered. Sellers can enter a horse as easy as 1, 2, 3 with a searchable database while allowing comments, photos, and other documents. Buyers can view live pedigrees, past performances, and race videos. To create your account or learn more, visit www.preferredequine.com or call 914-773-7777.
Own a little and love it a lot. Thestable.ca is an award-winning fractional ownership operation. Buy as little as 1% of a racehorse and experience 100% of the thrill. Thestable.ca makes ownership easy, accessible, and affordable. Communication and customer service are at the heart of everything we do. Get started at thestable.ca.
And we are back here at Fasig-Tipton as we're just a few minutes away from the start of session number 5 for the Lexington Selected Yearling Sale. Mark McKelvey rejoined by Anthony McDonald. And Anthony, well, we've only got a few minutes till 7 o'clock. I think we should kind of... Yeah, we need that too. We need the heater. It would be real nice if someone could crank the heat up. But I just kind of want to put a bow on what has been a fantastic week here in Lexington and just get your thoughts. Coming down here, I think even in my shoes, I was wondering, what are we going to do here? What will be the engagement level? How much are people going to enjoy this? And can we really pull this off for 5 days straight? We have, and it's been a lot of fun.
It's been awesome. The emails and messages I've got, both obviously commending you, Curtis, and everybody else at Jamie for all the work she's done. It's just been amazing. And, I was the same way. I was going to make a big production about it and have Standard Bread Canada and the USTA follow along and have everybody looking. I'm like, but what if it's no good? I don't know. And again, the way Curtis and you pull everything together, it's amazing. The whole point was to make everybody understand exactly what we do down here. Make everybody understand Lexington. If you could bottle Lexington and sell it, it would take off. Yeah. And it's such a great experience, and it's such a wonderful week. I mean, we're all trying to buy the next whatever. Unfortunately, we're going to have some great horses, I'm sure, out of the bunch we bought, and we might have some of the horses that pulled up onto the hunting over there. Who knows? But at the end of the day, no one knows. Yeah. And that's what's so cool about this game is that no matter how analytical you are, no matter how good a trainer you are, no matter how good a driver you were, Scott was here, it doesn't matter. Because if you don't have a good horse, you can't win. And everybody is after a great horse, and just so much relies on luck. That's what's so wonderful about this game. And for us, to be able to experience it with hundreds and hundreds of people all over the world, it's just the coolest feeling in the world. So Lexington, the experience has been wonderful. It is, again, my wife and I had a tremendous time. Hopefully Jamie and her kids had a great time. I know that hopefully you and Curtis had a great time. Once a year. We get to do this once a year. And I know every January we try to my family tries to get away and go somewhere nice, but Lexington is where, my wife and I love to come here every year for this feeling, and I'm just so glad that you guys did such a good job letting people know how Lexington feels to everybody here. I've told everybody for the last month, if you could make your way to Lexington, Kentucky for a few days or a week, do so. I see a number of clients, Randy, and a number of clients pulling in here tonight from Ohio and surrounding areas. It's great to be in our community, in the horse racing community, in such a wonderful place. It's just a great time.
Yeah, I almost think the tourism board should probably be giving us a little bit of a tip on the way out of town. But honestly, I love it here. This is fantastic. And every single year at Grand Circuit, that 2 weeks of sale, it's circled on my calendar. Always want to get down here. So this has been a real blast. One more night to go. Best of luck, Anthony. It'll be interesting to go back and watch our commentary from day number 1 ahead of the sale, some of the projections, some of what we talked about, how it really played out. If anyone wants to binge this whole season of thestable.ca, feel free to do so anytime, on demand, wherever you find your favorite streaming services. Anthony, thanks so much. It's been a blast. Thanks for having us, and good luck tonight.
It's great. And again, thank you all. Thank you especially, Curtis, Jamie, everybody that has made this possible. I told everybody for 3 or 4 years, we couldn't do it during COVID, but heading into COVID, I'd always mention to Curtis every year about doing something like this, but he's busy, I'm busy. You know what, moving forward, I hope you and Curtis and everybody associated with us can take the week off of Lexington, because what we did here this week is something that the industry should do, and it's something that we will do next year. I had a fantastic time, and I can't wait to do it again.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully we turn some heads, and for those of you who've been watching all week long, we appreciate your viewership. Hopefully we've entertained you. If anything, you've had a few laughs. Thanks so much, everybody. Night number 5 is coming up in just moments from the Lexington Selected Yearling Sale. Enjoy your Friday evening, enjoy your weekend, and best of luck.